AITA for sending proof after my family blamed me for their debt? People love calling me cold now, but for years, I was the person my parents called before the late fee hit, before the insurance paperwork got ignored, before Caleb's newest temporary problem became everybody else's emergency. I'm Mia, 32, the younger daughter in my family, and I've been living on my own long enough to know the difference between helping and being used. My older brother, Caleb, is 38, but in my family he has always been treated like a cracked glass ornament. I was treated more like the roll of duct tape in the junk drawer. Useful, quiet, and always expected to fix whatever somebody else broke. I didn't start out angry. I really didn't. For a long time I thought being dependable would eventually make my family respect me. My mom, Linda, would call me in that thin, shaky voice she used when she wanted something but didn't want to ask directly. "Mia, I hate even bringing this up," she would say. That sentence alone used to make my stomach drop because it was never followed by something small. It was a phone bill that was about to be shut off, a car insurance payment that somehow slipped through the cracks, a medical balance that had gone to collections because nobody opened the mail, a home repair invoice she swore was urgent and private, a few $100s for Caleb because he was between things or trying to get back on track. Then my dad, Grant, would call behind her. "Family helps family," he'd say. He always said it like it settled everything, like those 3 words were a signed agreement, a receipt, and a thank you note all at once. Caleb had his own style. He never asked like a grown man making a financial request. He asked like a tired kid who just needed someone to stop the world from being mean to him. "I swear I'll pay you back Friday," he'd text. Then Friday would come and go. If I followed up, he'd send something like, "You know I've been stressed. Why are you making me feel worse?" My mom would step in after that. "Don't pressure your brother. He's sensitive." Somehow, Caleb being sensitive meant I had to be silent. Over the years, I covered little things that added up to not so little things. A phone bill here. An insurance gap there. A transfer to my mom with the memo repair balance. A Venmo to Caleb marked just until Friday, which became a private joke only to me because Friday apparently lived in another dimension. Once I paid a $640 bill my mom said was for a house repair. Another time I sent $1,200 after she cried and said she was embarrassed to ask anyone else. Every time I helped, my mom followed it with the same request. "Don't mention this to your aunt," she'd say. "You know how people talk." Or, "Please don't bring this up at Thanksgiving. Your father would be humiliated." Or, "Caleb doesn't need everyone knowing his business right now." So I kept quiet. I thought I was protecting their dignity. I didn't realize I was giving them a clean stage to perform on. Because while I was keeping secrets for them, my mom was telling a very different story. In the family group chat, she would post vague little messages whenever I said no. "Some children forget who was there when they needed everything." Or, "A mother learns which children show up when life gets hard." The relatives would respond with heart emojis, prayer hands, and comments like, "Stay strong, Linda." No one asked what had happened. No one asked if the child she was talking about had already paid 3 bills that month. They just believed the version wrapped in motherly pain. Caleb was overwhelmed. Caleb was trying. Caleb was not perfect, but he has a good heart. I was hard. I was distant. I was too practical. That was my favorite one. Too practical. Like knowing how much money leaves your account is a personality flaw. The first time I refused a bigger request, my mom didn't yell. She went quiet, which was worse. It was a Tuesday evening. I remember because I had just reheated leftover pasta and sat down on my couch when her name lit up my phone. I answered, and she started with a sigh. "Mia, I need you to listen before you react." That was another warning sign. She said there was a family shortfall. Not a bill. Not an invoice. A shortfall. She said some things had piled up and she needed me to contribute $4,800. I put my fork down. "For what exactly?" I asked. "You don't need to interrogate me," she said. "It's house expenses, family expenses, helping your father, helping Caleb a little. It's all connected. I need actual details before I send almost $5,000. She got hurt immediately. Not confused. Not concerned. Hurt. I never thought I'd have to submit paperwork to my own daughter. "Mom, I've sent money before." I'm asking because the amount is big. Then my dad got on the line, which meant she had me on speaker. Don't make your mother beg, he said. I'm not making anyone beg. I'm asking what the money is for. Family helps family. There it was. The family's national anthem. I didn't send the money. I told them I needed receipts, dates, or statements. My mom hung up like I had cursed at her. The next morning, the family group chat got a message from her. It's heartbreaking when strangers show more compassion than your own blood. My cousin Natalie reacted with a sad face. Aunt Rachel wrote, "Call me if you need anything." Someone else wrote, "You deserve better, Linda." I stared at my phone with my thumb hovering over the screen, wanting to type every single thing I had paid for. But I didn't, because some old, trained part of me still thought defending myself would make me look cruel. That was when I started keeping records in one place. I already had bank statements and Venmo history, but they were scattered. I made a folder on my phone and laptop. I named it Family Payments at first because I still wasn't thinking like someone preparing for war. I made subfolders: timeline, transfers, texts, voicemail, Caleb. I saved screenshots of every Zelle payment. I downloaded Venmo receipts. I saved texts where my mom asked me not to tell anyone. I saved Caleb's promises to repay me. I wrote a timeline in plain language with dates, amounts, and what I had been told the money was for. I wasn't building a weapon. I was building proof I wasn't crazy. Then, 2 weeks before my mom's birthday, she called me and left the voicemail that changed everything. I missed the call because I was in the shower. When I listened later, the first part was normal. Her voice was sweet, almost too sweet. "Hi, honey. I'm just calling about my birthday barbecue. I hope you'll come. It would mean a lot if the whole family was there. No drama. Just family." Then there was shuffling. I thought the message was over, but she hadn't hung up. Her voice got muffled farther away. "She'll pay if she has to look at everyone," she said. I froze. A male voice answered, "Caleb." I couldn't make out every word, but I heard enough. "I don't want everybody judging me," he said. My mom replied, clearer this time, "He can't handle everyone judging him. She can. She always does." There was another rustle. Then she said, "If they see Mia being selfish, she'll pay because she hates looking like the bad guy." The voicemail ended after that. I sat on the edge of my bed in my towel and played it again. Then again. My hands were cold by the third time. Part of me wanted to call her immediately and ask what the hell she was planning, but I didn't. Something in me went very still. I saved the voicemail to the folder. A few days later, my mom texted me asking for updated email addresses for a few relatives. "Putting together birthday pictures," she wrote. "I don't want anyone to miss them." That sentence felt innocent until it didn't. Then Caleb started acting weirdly friendly. He sent me a meme. Then a random "hope you're good" text. Caleb did not check on me unless he needed money or wanted to soften me up before asking. My dad called once and said, "Your mother's birthday is important to her. Don't come in with an attitude." "I wasn't planning to," I said. "Good. She's been through enough." "Enough of what?" He paused. "Just be kind, Mia." The day of the barbecue was warm and sticky, the kind of afternoon where paper plates bend under potato salad and every cooler is somehow in everyone's way. My mom had set up folding chairs in uneven rows in the backyard. There were plastic tablecloths clipped down at the corners, bowls of chips, baked beans, pasta salad, and a big grocery store sheet cake still in its plastic container on the kitchen counter. I brought store-bought cupcakes because my mom always complains there isn't enough dessert, even when there is enough dessert. When I walked in through the side gate, my dad was dragging a cooler across the grass. He looked up, saw me, and immediately looked away. That was the first sign. The second sign was Caleb. He was standing near the drinks table, laughing too loudly at something one of our cousins said. He had on that polished, harmless expression he used when he wanted people to remember he was charming before they remembered he owed them money. "Mia," he said, spreading his arms like we were close. "You made it." "I was invited," I said. He chuckled, but his eyes flicked toward the patio. My mom came out of the house in a floral blouse, already emotional even though nothing had happened yet. She hugged me too tightly and held me by the shoulders. "I'm glad you came," she said. "Tonight matters." It was such a strange thing to say at a backyard barbecue that my whole body registered it. What does that mean? I asked. She smiled like I was being difficult. It means I'm happy my daughter is here. Inside the house, I set the cupcakes on the counter beside the sheet cake. That was when I noticed a laptop connected to a small projector facing a white sheet they had pinned against the fence. A family photo slideshow was paused on the screen. Fine. Normal enough. Then I noticed a white envelope near the speaker. And under one corner of a plastic tablecloth on the patio table, I saw a stack of printed pages. The top page was mostly covered, but I saw one phrase in bold near the top. Family debt. My pulse did one hard knock in my chest. I didn't touch it. I didn't react. I walked back outside and sat near Natalie. Natalie is 36, my cousin, and one of the few people in the family who had never been openly cruel to me. She had also never really defended me. She was a peacekeeper, which in our family usually meant standing very still while the wrong person got hit. I'm glad you came, she said quietly. You said it would mean a lot. She gave me a small smile. I thought maybe it would help. With what? Before she could answer, my mom clapped her hands. Everybody, after we eat, I want to do a little birthday reflection, she called out. Caleb looked down at his plate. My dad kept moving cans around in the cooler even though they were already cold. We ate. People made normal small talk. Kids ran around the yard with juice boxes. Someone argued about whether the burgers were done enough. Aunt Rachel sat in a lawn chair with a paper plate balanced on her lap, watching more than talking. I tried to convince myself I was being paranoid. Then my mom stood near the projector and said, "Before cake, I just want everyone to gather around." Before cake. My stomach tightened. The slideshow started normally. Baby photos. My parents when they were young. Caleb missing his 2 front teeth. Me in a Halloween costume. Family beach pictures. Christmas mornings. People laughed. My mom dabbed her eyes with a napkin. Then the music changed. Or maybe I imagined that part because the air shifted so fast. A picture of my parents standing on their porch appeared with the caption, "Parents give everything." Then a picture of my mom holding baby Caleb. Some children need extra love. Then a picture of me at an old Thanksgiving, standing in the kitchen with my arms crossed because I had been cold. The caption read, "When success makes you forget family." The backyard went quiet in that horrible way a room does when everyone realizes they are witnessing something but does not know whether they are allowed to name it. I felt heat crawl up my neck, but I kept my face still. Another slide appeared. It was just words on a pale background. A mother should never have to beg her child to care. Someone shifted in a folding chair. A paper plate bent in someone's hand. My mom stood beside the screen with one hand pressed to her chest. "Birthdays make you think," she began. Her voice was soft, trembling, rehearsed. "They make you think about who shows up, who remembers where they came from, who understands that family is not just a word." Caleb stepped up beside her. He looked sad, not ashamed, sad in a practiced way like he had checked himself in the mirror. My mom continued, "I never wanted to do this publicly, but sometimes silence protects the wrong person." That line almost made me laugh. Almost. She turned toward me. "Mia," she said, and every face followed her eyes. "This is your chance to show us you still care about this family." Caleb picked up the stack of papers from under the tablecloth and started passing them down the rows of folding chairs. I already knew what it was before one landed in my lap. At the top, in bold letters, it said, "Family Debt Summary." No invoices. No account numbers. No actual statements. Just vague categories typed into a spreadsheet. Emergency help. House expenses. Parent care gap. Unpaid family support. Shared responsibility. Next to my name, highlighted in yellow, was the largest amount, $9,650. I stared at it for a few seconds, not because I believed it, but because I wanted to remember exactly how ugly it looked. Caleb stood with his hands clasped in front of him. "Nobody's asking you to do anything crazy," he said. "Just help fix what you ignored." My dad's voice came from behind me. "Adults shouldn't need to be begged to help their parents." I looked at him. "You knew about this?" He didn't answer directly. "This has gone far enough," he said. One cousin whispered, not quietly enough, "Maybe she should just apologize." Another said, Your mother shouldn't have to ask. Natalie looked down at the paper and then at me. Her face was uncomfortable, but she didn't speak. My mom's eyes were wet now. This is not about money. This is about family. After everything I sacrificed, this is what I get. I looked at the spreadsheet again. The categories were so vague they might as well have been written in fog. No dates. No proof. Just numbers arranged to make me look guilty. And suddenly I felt calm. Not peaceful. Calm. Because I realized the speech was too polished. The slideshow was too structured. The printed sheets were ready. The party had been built around this moment, right down to doing it before cake because people leave after cake. I looked at my mom. How long did you plan this? I asked. Her face tightened. Don't you dare turn this around. Caleb shook his head like I was embarrassing myself. Mia, come on. Just be decent. My dad said. Be the bigger person. I stood up slowly. I'm getting water, I said. My mom blinked. She clearly expected tears, yelling, maybe me storming out so she could say, see? This is what I mean. Instead, I walked into the kitchen. The house was quieter than the yard. Through the window over the sink, I could see my relatives holding the fake debt sheets, murmuring to each other. The sheet cake sat untouched on the counter. My cupcakes were still in their plastic container. My hand shook once when I unlocked my phone. Then they steadied. I opened my folder. Timeline. Transfers. Text. Voicemail. Plan setup. I had organized it after the voicemail. I had cleaned it up, not because I knew I would use it that day, but because I wanted the truth somewhere clear. The timeline showed the date, amount, who asked, what reason they gave, and what proof matched it. The transfer showed payments to my mom, my dad, and Caleb. The text showed my mom asking me to keep payments private. The Caleb folder showed every "I'll pay you Friday" message. The voicemail was trimmed to the relevant part, but the original was saved too. The last folder was the one I had made after my mom's email request, and a screenshot Natalie had unknowingly helped me get. A week before the party, Natalie had forwarded me a photo my mom wanted included in the slideshow. The message thread above it had not been cropped all the way. It showed my mom texting Caleb. Do the slideshow before cake. People leave after cake. Caleb had replied. If she gets embarrassed, she'll just pay to end it. My mom answered. She hates looking like the bad guy. I had stared at that screenshot for 20 minutes when I first got it. I had wanted it to be fake. I had wanted any explanation other than my mother and brother planning to use a birthday party as a trap. Now, standing in my parents' kitchen while my own public shaming continued outside, I renamed the main folder. Before you judge me. Then I sent it to the family group chat. I added one message. Since everyone was invited to judge me, everyone gets the full context. I'm not paying a debt I didn't create, and I'm done being blamed for the one Caleb did. For a second, nothing happened. Then phones started buzzing outside. I picked up the printed timeline I had brought in my purse. I had printed it days earlier after my dad's "don't come in with an attitude" call. I told myself it was just in case. I guess some part of me already knew. I walked back into the yard. My mom was still speaking when I returned. I never wanted my daughter to feel attacked, she was saying, which was a wild thing to hear while people were holding attack paperwork. Phones buzzed again. Someone said, "Wait." Natalie had opened the folder. I could tell because her eyebrows pulled together and she stopped moving completely. I walked to the patio table and placed my timeline beside Caleb's fake spreadsheet. You all got the performance, I said. Now you get the paperwork. My dad stepped toward me. Mia, this is not the place. I looked at him. You made it the place. That shut him up for about 3 seconds. My mom pressed her napkin to her mouth. You're humiliating me in front of everyone. I nodded once. You used an audience to make me look guilty. I'm using the truth to make sure I never have to pay for your lies again. Caleb scoffed, but it came out nervous. Lies? You're blowing up the family over money. No, I said. You did that when you helped make a fake debt sheet. It's not fake, he snapped. Then show the invoices. He looked at my mom. Show them, I said. My mom started crying harder. This is exactly what I mean. So cold. So cruel. Everything has to be a transaction with you. Natalie's voice cut in before I could answer. Hold on, she said. I'm reading the dates. People turned toward her. She held up her phone. Linda, why wasn't this part mentioned? My mom's crying paused for half a beat. Natalie, this is between a mother and daughter. No, it isn't, Natalie said, still looking at the screen. You handed all of us a debt sheet. Aunt Rachel leaned forward in her chair. Natalie scrolled. There's a transfer from Mia to Linda for $640 with the memo repair balance. Same week as this house expense you put on Mia's debt sheet. Caleb said quickly. That was separate. I pointed to the printed timeline. It's the same amount. Same date. Same reason Mom gave me. Another cousin opened the folder. Wait, there's a $1,200 transfer too. Someone else said. I thought Linda said Mia never helped. I didn't say never, my mom said. Yes, you did, I said. Several times. In the group chat. I included those screenshots too. Grant's face had gone dark red. Mia, he said in a low voice, you should have handled this privately. That almost got me. Not because it hurt, but because it was so perfectly unfair. I did handle it privately, I said. For years. That's how you got comfortable lying publicly. A few people made that soft O sound people make when a sentence lands harder than expected. Caleb grabbed one of the printed timelines and scanned it. Why are you keeping records like some kind of psycho? He said. Because every time I helped, you all pretended I hadn't. You're making me look like a loser, he said. I looked at him for a long second. No, Caleb. I'm making you look documented. Aunt Rachel made a sound that might have been a cough, but her mouth twitched. My mom's voice sharpened. You enjoy this, don't you? You've been waiting to punish us. No, I said. I was waiting for you to stop making me pay for things and then calling me selfish afterward. You didn't stop. Natalie was still reading. There are texts in here where you ask her not to tell us about the payments. My mom reached toward her. Give me that. Natalie pulled the phone back. No. That was the first moment I saw fear move across my mom's face. Not sadness. Not heartbreak. Fear. Because her power had always depended on everyone hearing only her version. My dad tried again. Enough. This has gone far enough. Aunt Rachel looked at him. Grant, did you know about these payments? He worked his jaw but didn't answer. That is a yes or no question, she said. He looked away. The yard went quieter. I took out my phone. There's one more thing, I said. My mom's head snapped toward me. Mia, don't. It was the first honest thing she had said all evening. I tapped the voicemail. The audio played through my phone speaker, not loud enough to be dramatic, but loud enough for the people closest to hear. Then someone near me turned up their volume because I had sent it in the folder too. My mom's recorded voice filled the awkward backyard silence. She'll pay if she has to look at everyone. Then Caleb's muffled voice. I don't want everybody judging me. My mom again. He can't handle everyone judging him. She can. She always does. A rustle. If they see Mia being selfish, she'll pay because she hates looking like the bad guy. No one moved. A dog barked somewhere down the street. One of the kids asked for cake and got shushed immediately. My mom looked smaller suddenly but not innocent. Just caught. Caleb stared at the grass. My dad looked at my mom like he wanted her to fix it, which would have been funny if it weren't so sad. Aunt Rachel stood up slowly. She wasn't dramatic. She didn't raise her voice. That made it worse. Linda, she said, did you know Caleb caused this debt before you blamed Mia in front of all of us? My mom's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Aunt Rachel waited. Did you? She asked again. My mom looked at Caleb. Caleb looked down. My dad rubbed his forehead. The silence answered for them. Then everybody started talking at once. Are you serious? Linda, what is going on? Caleb, you told me that money was for the furnace. What money? I'm not getting involved, but this changes things. You said Mia wouldn't help. Natalie typed something into the group chat. A second later, my phone buzzed. I read the folder. Mia was not the one hiding the truth. That message shifted something. Not everything. Families don't change in one clean second. But it shifted enough. My mom tried to recover. I was trying to protect this family, she said. No, Aunt Rachel said. You were protecting Caleb from the family and using Mia as the bill. Caleb's face twisted. Everybody's acting like I did something terrible. I've been stressed. I was going to fix it. With whose money? Natalie asked. He glared at her. Stay out of it. She held up the paper he had passed around. You brought us into it. My dad pointed at me. You didn't have to do it like this. I actually laughed once. It came out dry and tired. You mean in front of everyone? I asked. At Mom's birthday party? With printed handouts? Before cake? His mouth tightened. I turned to the relatives still holding Caleb's spreadsheet. I'm going to be very clear, I said. I am not paying this. I am not paying any debt Caleb created. I am not sending emergency transfers. I am not making secret payments. And if anyone hears a story about me refusing to help, ask for the date, the amount, and the receipt. My mom whispered, You broke my heart. No, I said. I broke the system that was working for you. She flinched like I had slapped her. Caleb stepped closer. It's not like you were hurting for money. That line did something to me. Not because it was the worst thing he had said, but because it revealed the whole belief underneath everything. They didn't think my money was mine. They thought if I had enough to survive, the extra belonged to whoever cried first. You don't know what I'm hurting for, I said. Because you never ask unless it affects your next loan. He looked away. A cousin near the drink table muttered, Damn, picked up my purse. My mom blinked. You're leaving? Yes. We haven't had cake. I looked at the untouched sheet cake through the kitchen window. Then you still have something that wasn't my responsibility, I said. I walked toward the side gate. I expected someone to stop me. I expected my dad to use his stern voice, my mom to cry louder, Caleb to call me selfish. They did all of that actually, but none of it had the same weight anymore. Because everyone had the folder. Natalie followed me to the driveway. Mia, she called. I stopped beside my car. She stood there with her phone in her hand, looking embarrassed in a way that seemed real. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't answer right away. She swallowed. I thought you were being cold. I heard your mom say things for so long, and you never defended yourself, so I thought maybe there was truth in it. I should have asked. The old version of me would have rushed to make her feel better. I would have said it was okay, that I understood that my mom was convincing. Instead I said, Yeah, you should have. She nodded. I know. I looked back toward the yard. Through the fence I could hear raised voices and chairs scraping against the grass. I don't need you to fight my battles forever, I said. Just don't repeat stories you haven't checked. I won't, she said. And for what it's worth, I'm going to say that in the chat. That was worth something. Not everything, but something. I got in my car and left before the cake was cut. The first message from my mom came at 9:14 that night. It was long enough to require scrolling. She wrote about sacrifice, motherhood, heartbreak, betrayal, embarrassment, and how she could not believe I had chosen money over family. I replied with one sentence. You invited them to judge me, so I gave them the truth. Then I muted the chat. I didn't block it. Not yet. Blocking would have felt satisfying for about 5 minutes, but muting it felt better. It meant they could talk, accuse, apologize, or spiral, and I did not have to be available for any of it. The next day, I opened the chat once with coffee in my hand. It was a mess. Some relatives had left. Some had apologized. Some were doing that annoying thing where they admitted I had a point but still wanted me to comfort my mom. One cousin wrote, I owe Mia an apology. I believed what I was told. Another wrote, Linda, you said she never helped. A family friend wrote, I'm not taking sides, but those transfers are pretty clear. Aunt Rachel wrote, not taking sides after reading proof is taking a side. I stared at that one for a while. Caleb was mostly quiet in the chat, which meant he was probably texting people privately. But it didn't work the way it used to. By Monday, 3 relatives had asked him for repayment plans on money he had borrowed from them. One of them posted, Caleb, you told me that $900 was for the furnace. Was that true? He didn't answer. Aunt Rachel wrote, I will not send another $1 until you explain where the last money went. That was the first real consequence Caleb had faced in years. Not jail. Not a dramatic downfall. Just doors closing. People asking for details. Sympathy requiring receipts. My dad called me twice that week. Both times I let it go to voicemail. The first message was stiff. "Mia, this is your father. Call me. We need to discuss what happened." The second one was shorter. "You made your point. Don't punish your mother." I saved them, then deleted them from my recent calls. I didn't need to hear "family helps family" remixed into a new guilt trip. Caleb texted me Wednesday night. "You didn't have to ruin me." I looked at the message while standing in my kitchen, waiting for toast to pop up. Such a normal little moment for such a loaded sentence. I typed back, "I didn't ruin you. I stopped covering for you." He replied almost immediately, "Must feel good acting superior." I didn't respond. The next morning my mom posted a vague quote on Facebook about how a mother's deepest wounds come from the children she loved the most. Normally, that would have caused a wave of relatives texting me, telling me to call her, telling me I only get one mother, telling me to be the bigger person. This time nobody did. In the family chat, there was only one response from Aunt Rachel. "Linda, this is not the way." My mom did not reply. That silence felt better than an apology would have, because an apology from her at that point would probably have been another performance. Silence meant the old trick had failed. A week after the barbecue, Natalie called me. I almost didn't answer, but I did. "I'm not calling to drag you back in," she said quickly. "Good. I just wanted you to know people are still talking, but it's different now. They're asking questions." "That's all I wanted," I said. She was quiet for a second. "Are you okay?" I leaned against my counter. No one in my family had asked me that in a long time without needing something after. "I'm getting there," I said. And that was true. I wasn't suddenly healed. I didn't walk out of that barbecue with a perfect family or a clean ending wrapped in a bow. My mom still thought of herself as the victim because the truth embarrassed her. My dad still preferred short moral sayings over real accountability. Caleb still believed consequences were something people did to him, not something he created. But I had changed the part one could control. I stopped making secret payments. I stopped answering crisis calls that came without details. I stopped letting my silence be turned into evidence against me. A month later, my mom tried one more private guilt trip. She texted, "I hope you're happy. Your brother is struggling and everyone is treating him like a criminal." I answered, "If he needs help, he can be honest about what he needs and who he owes. I'm not the emergency fund for a lie." She didn't answer for 3 days. When she finally did, it was just, "I don't recognize you anymore." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I realized she was right, just not in the way she meant. She didn't recognize me without the panic, without the instant apology, without the transfer confirmation, without the need to be seen as good by people who had been comfortable watching me be used. I typed, "That's probably because I'm not playing the same role." Then I muted her too. The strangest part was how ordinary peace felt at first. Not joyful, not cinematic, just quiet. No emergency calls during dinner. No long messages about how I had broken my mother's heart. No Caleb popping up with a quick question and a sad story attached. No group chat pylon built from half-truths and prayer emojis. I still thought about the barbecue sometimes. The slideshow, the caption on my Thanksgiving photo, the fake spreadsheet in my lap. My mom's voice on that voicemail saying I could handle being judged because I always did. She was right about one thing. I could handle it. But I didn't have to keep volunteering for it. I didn't expose them because I wanted revenge in the loud, messy way people imagine revenge. I exposed them because they invited an audience to watch me be shamed, and I refused to leave that audience with only the lie. They wanted my money, my silence, and my reputation. They lost all three. I didn't walk out with my family fixed. I walked out with my name back. And for the first time in years, that was enough. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.